Good afternoon. Good morning. Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I was stuck up in another meeting. It took a little longer. Okay, we had been discussing about the UML diagrams, right? Uh, so before getting further into the uh, UML diagram, uh, let me first take you through the leave management system example. Uh, have you gone through the specification? Friends, have you gone through the specification? Hello? Does the silence mean yes, or does it mean no? Let me do a poll. Uh, Friends, those who have gone through the specification, leave management system specification, I'd say shared last time and said that you should read through that. Those who have gone through it, would you please put your hands up? It helps me to get an understanding. Hello? So that means that Deep Majumdar has. So grossly, it means that people have not. Okay, Deep, please unraise your hand. You should have gone through that. I requested. It's good not to spend the class time discussing these things anyway. You should follow that. Anyway, so this is about. This is just an example, but this is kind of we are trying to use to understand some of the UML diagrams. So this is about an organization which is trying to have a leave management system for itself. uh, the organization has three categories of employees: executives, lead, and manager. And there is a direct reporting. Employee is someone, or executive is someone who just individually contributes, reports to the lead. Lead report to manager, and manager reports to and lead reports to the manager, and there is only one manager that we are just assuming. Now the system has provision, the organization has provision for a number of different types of leads. Like there's a casual leave which you can just take. Please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. Someone, you are not muted. Please mute yourself. Okay, thank you very much. So there is casual leave, but there are 10 casual leaves available in a year, credited on 1st January of every month. And there are certain rules associated with it. Like you cannot take two casual leaves together. I mean, more than two casual leaves together, but it also does not need approval. You know, so you can also have a leave without approval and then get it post approved. And then there is earn leave, which is 15 days available, but you earn it every month you work. So you get 1.25 of earn leave every month of completed work. It cannot be, it can be clubbed with other kind of leave. You can take it at a stretch with a planning, but it needs an approval. Then there's a duty leave where you are being sent somewhere on work, so you are given a duty leave. Then you can have sick leave. If you fall sick, 12 days sick leave is available during a calendar year and available on the first of January itself, but it needs medical certificate and proof of being sick and so on. There's maternity leave for 4 months available to female employees who would become pregnant and deliver a child, and you can take maternity leave only twice. You have a parental leave, which is actually for the male members of the employees, or could be for others also. If you, for example, someone can become a parent by adoption. So in that case, you can take 7 days parental leave and so on. And then there's leave without pay and so on. And so we say every leave will have to be applied by a person, and will be approved by the person he or she is reporting to. So employee applying a leave will get an approval from the lead or the manager. Lead will get it from the manager, and it has to be considered that it is a privilege, not a right. So it can be an approved leave can also be revoked. And otherwise, I mean, if you have not taken an authorized leave, then you have an unauthorized leave. And these are the typical kind of things you can do. You can manage the system should be able to manage logins for manager, lead, executives, manage leave for employees. When a new employee joins, the account creation, etc., has to happen. And every employee can record daily attendance, request for leave, cancel and approve leave that he or she has not availed, avail a leave, and check and export own leave status. A lead additionally can approve a regret leave request, revoke approved leave, check or report status, and so on. Manager can certainly do more things, do administrative stuff. And there is system admin who can do the overall accounting of the leave, monthly reports, quarterly report, annual report, and so on, right? So this is the kind of things that someone can do. So now let us try to look at two aspects. One is, given this, how do you come to the UML? How do you come to the different entities that can happen? So let me stop sharing and let me share you the other document, which also I had shared with you, the annotated document. Can you share this? Can you see this annotated document? This is
Yes, sir.
a document with colors, right?
Yes, sir.
So this is not an exercise that you formally do in software engineering, but probably you will do it mentally. But I have just kind of, annotated to get you the sense of what all things need to be done. For example, if you see, a lot of things are in red. So things in red are the nouns in the specification. So if I have a noun, then there is a potential that I might need to represent that as a concept, as an entity in the system. And therefore, in my use case diagram and subsequently class diagram, these might have a presence. But there could be number of nouns coming in, those which are just incidental and may not have a presence. But it does help to mentally note what are the nouns. So we are just showing them by red. So company is one entity, attendance, leave, employee, employees or executive, lead, manager, leave rules, CL, EL, all these are all different nouns, and these could be potential entities in different parts of the system. The second are actually actions. So actions, as you can understand, in a way will translate to some form of interface, which could be internal or external, and kind of give rise to what we need to do in the system. So we are putting those verbs as blue. Wants to manage. Company wants to manage. Want is a verb, manage is a verb. For example, wants to here is a verb, but kind of it is just a way of saying. It won't have a presence in your system, but manage would probably have a presence in your system. Reports, approves, regrets, cannot be availed, or say counted. These are all different types of verbs that occur, which are potential to be identified as viable actions that could happen in the system. And then there are qualifiers which may come, which may be treated either as nouns or kind of entities, or they could come as certain conditionals, business logic and so on. For example, here individual. I mean, this is an adjective, or there are more than. So this more than is kind of a business logic, right? So it is pointing to a business logic. The next, the intervening, the completion. So these are kind of adjective, adverbs, kind of qualifiers, which are potential points from where you should get your business logic formulated in terms of the entities and the actions that are there in terms of nouns and verbs. So this is kind of a, I mean, I said this is kind of a natural NLP analysis on the specification. The more clearly the specification written, the more clearly you will have this understanding. So you can see later on. I mean, I've tried to list them: the list of nouns, list of verbs, list of adjectives. So this just gives you certain idea of what are the things that you are talking about, right? So keeping this in mind, now let us try to focus on the first part, which is use case analysis. So here in the specification itself, we have talked about the use case term. What it says is, how you plan to use the system, right? So use case on one side has the actor or the user who will do the action, and on the other side has to have the case of what is being done, right? So these are the primary two things which has to happen. So these are kind of things which will easily remain in your mind. So you can see the use case most often will evolve around at least one verb, and will have at least one noun, the actor. I mean, without that a use case. So here it clearly shows that which otherwise look like an English language description, that every employee can do the following: record daily attendance, request for leave, cancel and approve leave, avail leave, check status, and so on. You can see that these are potentially becoming candidates for being use cases. So let me leave this here and actually go back to the use case discussion, showing these in depth. Let's see. Let me get back to the presentation per se. So I'm with that OAD presentation. We are in module 23. So the use case diagrams are integration of business knowledge with development specification is a requirement, right? So as you saw in the leave management system, the organization knows the specification for developing a module, the development organization, but does not know who will interact with those modules for what purpose. And that's where the use case, the human interaction, and also at times the non-human system interaction comes into play, right? So these are a set of actions called use cases and a set of actors who do that. So use cases are diagrams are composed of actors, use cases and their specification, and relationship between use cases, right? So actors are entities that interface with the system. They can be people or other systems, that I said human or non-human, and were depicted as stick figures. It is used as a stereotype to depict many models at the same time, and we will label by the Guillemette. Right. So actors could be human actors. It could be non-human actors like fax, email, printout, and so on. They could be primary actors who are the ultimate user of the system. They could be secondary actors who just ensure the correct functionality of the system. There could be active actors initiating use cases. There could be passive actors who are responding to kind of a use case initiated by the system. So this is what I was trying to come to, that how can actors be identified? So who uses the essential use cases, who needs system support in order to fulfill the daily task, who is responsible for system administration, what are the devices and systems that are involved, who is interested in the result of the system. So these are different kind of typical queries we will need to put on the requirement specification and identify those nouns out of them as actors. So like if you look into this whole set of, so this is I mean from your leave management system, this is the whole set of nouns extracted. So not all of them are actors, right? But certainly you will identify that say an employee is an actor, a manager is an actor, an executive is an actor, or a sysadmin who is not primary, secondary, is an actor. Right? There could be others like like actually the printer or things like that, which are. So this is how you depict the actors. So the human actors are manager, lead, and executive. Non-human actors are printer and sysadmin. I'm sorry, printer, and a secondary actor is sysadmin. Right? You can see the different ways that we represent the actors here. So the use case represent what the actor wants to do your system. I mean, how it wants your system to perform. So each use case is a complete course of event to be executed in the system from the user's perspective. So use cases can contain short description course of event in the system from the user's perspective. Right. So we come to the actions. So these are the different actions. Naturally, if you extract the verbs as listed here, you'll find that there are several verbs in multiple forms. So we have just stemmed it to the core form. So you can say some of the action wants, you would feel that wants may not actually be a use case. Want is kind of okay, you want, that's, but approve would be an action. Regret would be an action. Manage would be an action. Cancel could be an action, right? So on one side you are identifying actors, on the other side you are identifying the actors, right? So here are some of the use cases executed by this: request leave, daily attendance, approve leave are some of the use cases that you will have. Okay, now let me just again get back to the to the leave management system document. Let me just share that once more to show you some bit more of the example. This is where I'm missing the green board and interactions with you because what I've done is I've captured the board work from the last time we did this. So you can see that I'm trying to do a use case diagram of LMS. This whole big rectangle is kind of the boundary of the diagram. And actors kind of are outside. So you can see actors sitting outside the system. They are not inside of the system. So these human-like stick diagrams are different actors: the executive, the lead, the manager. On this side, you have admin. You have a sysadmin, what we conceived to be a non-manager, a non-human. That is a sysadmin in terms of a kind of a whole lot of business logic. There's a printer to print. So these are the different use cases. And the link says that who is the actor who is acting on this use case. So there's a use case join. So he said that anybody who joins as an executive. So an executive has a use case join. She has a use case request leave. She has a use case cancel leave. Another use case avail leave. So you mark the use cases and do this. Then lead has a use case approve leave. Executive do not have that. But lead has that because executive can only request for a leave. But executive has no one reporting to her. So the executive has no use case of approving leave, but a lead can approve leave. The lead can regret leave. The lead can revoke a leave which is already approved. Right. It can export an executive's leave. Right. Similarly, a manager can credit leave. Lead cannot do that. Manager can adjust leave. Manager can hire someone. Manager can fire someone. Right. So these are the different use cases that you see. And one thing you will see that, well, there are a lot of use case links which are not shown. For example, a lead also can request for a leave. A lead also can cancel her leave. A manager also can avail a leave, and so on. So here, what additionally we were showing is, look at the left, you see between these human figures, there is a up arrow with a blank arrowhead. This is your very well-known easy relationship. So what we are also putting in is the fact that an actor need not be an isolated actor. The actor could have specialization, generalization relationship. So we are saying that lead is a executive. Let us go up to the early part of the specification. What does it report to a lead? A manager. So we have executive who work as an individual and report to a lead. The executive reports to a lead who approves. Lead reports to the manager. So this is all that we have. So what we are putting in here, I'm not sure if it is put down in black and white. What we are inferring from here is obviously whatever the executive can do, a lead can also do that. That is what we are bringing in the model. And also whatever the manager, what lead can do, a manager can do that as well. So keeping this in, we are bringing in something more in the use case diagram, that we are saying manager is a lead, is an executive. On the other side, we have admin who can manage users. We have sysadmin, which can do this part, batch processing, daily, monthly, quarterly, and so on. And we have kind of a printer, which is a passive actor in the use case. And then you can see something interesting here, that an executive can export leave. That is, executive can do a print report of the leave taken by her. The lead, being an executive, can also export her leave, not a problem. But a lead can also export the leave taken by an executive reporting to her. Right? So this use case is a specialization of export leave kind of use case. So you can see that there is a relationship between two use cases. Every other relationship is between an actor and the use case, either active one or the passive one. But here you have a relationship between two use cases, saying that export executive leave kind of involves exporting leave, or a kind of a batch processing, if I do a daily processing is a kind of batch processing, monthly processing is a kind of batch processing, and so on. So use cases could also be conceived in terms of certain specialization, generalization kind of entities. Okay. So let us go back again on the, let us see on this presentation. So, so we have talked about actors and use cases. Now let us formally see what is the specification of the use case. According to UML, a use case is to be specified in a very predefined standardized format. You cannot just use anything, any way of writing that. So these are the field mandated by UML. So you have to put use case name as the first thing. So everything is related by use case name. So use case name we are putting is request leave. So we are illustrating for that. Use case purpose. So this has to be very short, typically one sentence, which say what is, why do we have this use case? So we are saying that the executive, lead, and manager, all of them uses this functionality to request for leaves in the system. Makes it one sentence, very focused aspect, clear. Use case precondition. That tells you that what is the situation in which this use case is applicable. For example, in our case, a use case like request leave is possible only when user has a login ID and password to enter the system, right? So that's the precondition. Similarly, there can be a use case post condition. That's what happens after this use case has taken place. So naturally, you are requesting leave. So the post condition is a new leave request will be entered in the system for the user. You may have, these are kind of, some of these are optional, like failure condition, like what, under what condition it will fail? The user does not have valid credential to enter the system, or the user does not have sufficient balance. There could be multiple more. Or the leave that the user has applied for is not applicable for that user, and so on and so forth. What the actors? This is mandatory. You have to put lead, executive, manager are the actors here. And then you talk about the happy flow or the optimistic flow. That the executive lead manager checks for the leave balance. Naturally, before requesting, the balance has to be sent. If the leave balances are available, leave request is added. So this is what the basic specification of a use case will look like. I think this will be pretty clear to you. So let us keep on progressing. Now, as I said, we have seen how to write down a use case. The use cases share various kinds of relationship. A relationship between two use cases is basically a dependency between the two cases. So what kind of dependency you provide is a decision that the modeler will typically take. So we will discuss three relationships among use cases. One is include, one is extend, and one is generalization. These are written, these are kind of UML keywords you can take and written within Gulamet. So include relationship involves one use case including the behavior of another use case in its sequence of events and action. Thus, include relationship explores the issue of reuse by factoring out the commonality of use cases. So it says there's a base use case, and this is the included use case. Right. So the base use case A needs B. It includes B. So whenever it has to do this, it will have to include the use case B. Right. There may be independent reasons of doing the use case B, but if A has to be done, then you need to include this to complete the functionality of the use case of A. So this is called the includes relationship. Okay. So for example, if you are working on a calendar application, we all are familiar with calendar, Google Calendar and all that. So if you insert an appointment, then your desirable feature would be that participants will be notified, right? So there are two use cases. One is insert appointment and another is notify participant. Now you can notify participant in other ways, because you may not be inserting appointment, but you may be changing the appointment, the date time. You may be, deleting an appointment. You may want to notify just as a reminder. So notify participant is a separate use case. But the insert appointment needs to notify the participants. So instead of putting in the functionality of notification also in insert, what you should model it as is notify participant is a separate use case, and insert appointment includes that use case. So which means that when you insert appointment, you will do all the other things that are required for building up that appointment and inserting it in the calendar, but notify participant will also have to be done as a part of it. Similarly, if I have a cancel appointment, notify participant will be included as a use case for that. Right? So that's the sense of the include use case. For example, request leave will include validate leave. That is this a valid kind of leave. So in different other cases, for approval also you will need to do that. So you can see that here what we are, what the include necessarily mean in the use case diagram is the identification of things at a very specification level, at a very kind of micro abstraction level as to what are the things that are common between multiple things. So this is kind of a very basic level of factoring that you are doing on the system. There's a very basic level of reuse that you are identifying in the system. So you could have done a request leave which internally validates leave. You could do a approve leave which also internally validates leave, and so on everywhere. So that means that the specification concept wise, validate leave is not separately identified. Therefore, when you will translate that specification into a system, you will have multiple duplications of validate leave use case as a part of other use cases. But this include modeling gives you a very right way to model this. So the validate leave, you just include in request leave. So validate leave will have certain use case formulation, which request leave, approve leave, and so on can make use of. The other is extend use case. Extend relationship amongst use cases is used to show optional system behavior, right? And you can extend only under certain conditions, and these conditions are called extension points. So there's a base use case A, which is self-contained, and it controls if B is executed or not, A is there. And B is another extend use case, is self-contained. The behavior of B may not be incorporated into A. Extending use case B may be, but need not be activated by the base use case A. Now the main point here is extension points specify the location where the extending use case extends. I think we should go to the example first, then we'll come back here. Okay, so there's a savings bank account, and it provides bonus only if the deposited fund is above 20,000 or the depositor's age is above 60 years. I don't know if any bank does that, but let's just assume that. So there are two use cases. One is deposited fund amount. which is a use case of how much you have deposited and all that. So that does the credit transaction, updates your account amount and so on and so forth. And there is a calculate bonus use case. Now the point is here, whenever you deposit fund, the calculate bonus need not happen, will not happen, because it will happen only if the deposited fund is above 20,000 or the depositor age is 60 years or more, right? So there are extension points where age greater than 60 or fund greater than 20,000. If that extension is satisfied, then deposited fund will also use the calculate bonus use case. So this is different from inclusion. In inclusion, the included use case becomes necessarily a part of the including use case. Here, it is kind of an additional behavior, extended behavior, and which is conditionally engaged if the extension point condition is satisfied. Right? So, for example, another example of extend here. So in approved leave, the extension points are maternity leave, sick leave, parental leave, and so on. So the extension point for maternity leave and sick leave are that the medical certificate has to be verified. So you're going for approved leave, and for maternity leave extension point or sick leave extension point, the medical certificate will have to be verified. So check medical report use case will get invoked, right? That is the extension. Whereas for parental leave, naturally the birth certificate has to be verified. So check birth report extension will get invoked. So you can see that there could be multiple extension points and multiple extend use cases that can happen at the same time from a given base use case. So you have seen use cases, the include relationship between use cases, and extend relationship between use cases. The third, of which I have already shown you examples, are generalization relationship. So A is a base use case and B is a sub use case which needs A, gets the base functionality from A, and also does the basic inheritance behavior of overriding and extending the behavior of A. Right? So this is a simple case of inheritance modeling or specialization generalization modeling, and it is also possible to model abstract use cases which cannot directly be executed but has an interface behavior which can be specialized by different use cases. Right. So this is a example. You saw some examples there in the leave management system. Here's from another, that you have authentication use case and you have authentication by fingerprint use case. Authentication by fingerprint has obviously a lot of further details. So this will inherit from the authentication by fingerprint is a specialization of authentication per se, because it will have more details and it will have all the functionality of authentication, but maybe overridden. Export executive leave, this is what you saw earlier. Export manager leave is a specialization of that because it will have some manager specific columns, manager specific records which might have to be exported. And we have also shown this, that there can be generalization among actors. So like manager is a lead, is a executive. So when the generalization among actors happen, naturally the use cases executed by a general actor will all be available to the more specialized actor, but the derived actor may have extra use cases. Right. So we have discussed about basic use cases, their classification and so on. So in the following, what you will have is basically your exercise in terms of the leave management system, identifying the actors, identifying use cases, relationships among the use cases, building the use case diagram, and so on. So here more examples are given here, and you can go through. I mean, this is not something which we'll work through in the class. This is what I leave for your self-study, the module 25, where you can go through the whole thing, again go through the leave management system specification and see what are the some of the typical, how will the typical diagram will look like. Okay, use case diagram will look like. So let us stop here before the class diagram. I'll take quickly if there is any question. Otherwise, I will expect that module 25 of use case diagram for leave management system, you work out on your own and you check with the solution given. And as a part of assignment 4, you will get to do the use case diagram for the modified booking system as well. So that will give you a bigger practice in terms of it. And in the next class, we will go on to the next most important diagram, the class diagrams, which obviously many of you know to a good extent. If there is any question, then I would like to take that. No questions? Is it really making, I mean, is it going way over the understanding, or it's just too simple? I know this is, I mean, you need to do more of examples here. That's why you, and if you want, I can, after the leave management system, I can give you other system specifications also, some of the other system specifications also for your practice. But it is very important to practice and then understand. But the what I have tried to show in the first case of use case diagram, that what is the flavor of the UML, the language itself, that there is a certain way to write it, and there is iconic description, primarily diagrammatic icons, which give what are the possible operators and entities for every diagram. So here those were actors and use cases, and their relationship in terms of include, extend, and generalization, or generalization between actors, through which with annotation you can very compactly and unambiguously capture the specification of the system, which from the general English language description. Okay, if there is no question, then we will. Is there any question? Doesn't seem like. I don't know, whatever. So assignment 3 has been completed, right?
Yes, sir.
So how was it? Was it fun doing it? Did you learn a few things about design by doing the assignment 3?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Good. So wait a couple of days, just a breather, and then you will have assignment 4, in which I will extend this specification of the booking system and also extend the requirements, primarily asking for some of the basic UML diagrams, and significantly asking for error and exception checking all through, so that all kinds of wrong values will now be allowed, which was not allowed in the earlier system. And you should be able to catch them properly, put messages on them, and make sure that the system would never get into an inconsistent state. So I'm just giving you a little bit of breather after completing this, and then we'll float the assignment 4 in a couple of days. Okay, thank you very much then. Have a nice day, and see you tomorrow at the scheduled time. Bye.